Hey guys, welcome back to another video. It's me, UFC Investor. In this video, we're going to be talking about Dana White's Contender Series Week 10. I'm really excited about this card. We have fighters like Leslie Hernandez, who's called Dora the Destroyer. We also have fighters like Julieta Martinez, who's coming from the same organization as Kevin Vallejos. We also have fighters like Nick Piccininni, who's coming back to the Dana White's Contender Series to fight for the second time. We also have fighters like Luis Gurule, who is considered to be the best flyweight outside of the UFC. So I'm a little excited to see what's going to happen. And let's get into the first fight. Okay, guys. So for the first fight, we have Mohamed versus Jonathan Micalief. Mohamed is a Canadian. He's 5-0 versus Jonathan, who's 6-1 from Australia. Otto's Canadian. He's a kickboxer, striker. He's never seen a decision, so he has a 100% finish rate. He has fought a D1 wrestler before, who Jonathan is a wrestler, so that's definitely going to help him in his way to victory. Otto, he should be the better striker here compared to Jonathan, who is pretty much like a wrestler, like I said. Jonathan does have good leg kicks, and he's a dog, and he does have like some submission capability, but I do think Otto is going to be the better striker here overall in terms of just striking. So I think Jonathan's only way to victory is by wrestling Otto and just kind of like grinding it out maybe, but I just think Otto's gonna have more like, I guess, cardio and more capability to finish the fight. I think Otto should be able to keep it on the feet and keep it a striking match. I've seen a fight with Jonathan where he was trying to fight, but he just kept getting like hit, and he just couldn't take it to the ground like he wanted. He ended up losing that fight, I think. So I think there was the one fight that he lost. So I do think that Otto should be able to keep it on the ground or on the feet, like I said, and just keep it in his realm and make it I guess like a striking match between them, because the fight that I saw Jonathan lose was like versus a striker pretty much, and the other guy was managing to stay up and like having the cardio to not gas out, while Jonathan was just kind of like pretty much forcing the takedowns, trying to get it. And I just don't think he's going to be able to do that again with Mohamed, who probably has good cardio, and he's going to be ready for it, So I'm going to be picking Otto by round 3 TKO. I think Otto should be able to keep his 100% finish rate and finish Jonathan. I don't think Otto can get a submission as likely as a TKO, because I really think it's going to be like a big a battle of like I guess cardio. I think they're both going to dog it out, and I don't think either one of them is going to be able to. Or maybe Micalief could get a sub, but out of all ways of victory for Otto, I do think he should be able to get a TKO rather than a sub. It could go to decision, but I don't think that's likely with Otto having 100% finish rate and Jonathan being pretty much like a dog too. I think both of them are gonna be dogging it out, and I'm thinking Otto should be able to win this by TKO in round 3. If Jonathan were to win, I think I would pick him by submission. I don't think Jonathan. I don't see him getting a decision, and I don't see Jonathan outstriking Otto. I think if Jonathan were to win, it'd be by submission, but I'm going Otto by round 3 TKO. Okay, guys, so for the next fight, we have Leslie Hernandez versus Julieta Martinez. This one, guys, I'm really excited about. At first, I really thought Leslie Hernandez was going to be like a huge underdog versus Julieta. Leslie is like a boxer pretty much, and Julieta is, I guess, pretty much a kickboxer, taekwondo pretty much. They call her the Ninja Ferret. I actually seen a KO of her like literally just like starting the fight with the girl and her just leg kicking the girl and just knocking her out flat. Leslie Hernandez, I haven't seen much tape on her. I couldn't find much on YouTube, I should say, and I wonder if her takedown defense would be enough to defend from Julieta, who has had submission wins in the Samurai Fight House, which is where Kevin Vallejos is from. So she is undefeated, and I do think that she should have the cardio to pretty much go all 3 rounds pretty much, as well as Leslie. I don't think either girl's gonna gas out. I think they're both ready for the fight, but I just think either one of them is gonna have to make a mistake, and I just think Julieta is gonna be having more of a chance to catch a mistake from Leslie, because Leslie, I think her only way to victory is, I don't want to say her only way, but I think most likely her only way to victory for Leslie is to get a KO or a TKO of some sense, to like catch Julieta good and just kind of finish her from there. I don't see Leslie getting a submission. I don't think she has submission wins, and maybe she could get a decision in terms of like points, but I think she's probably gonna have to finish Julieta, because I think Julieta's more technical. She uses more leg kicks, obviously, versus Hernandez, who's more of like a boxing based. And I think Julieta has more ways to victory, including the submissions, the leg kicks, the pretty much overall a better MMA fighter, I think. But still, I think this is gonna be a really tough one, especially with WMMA. I don't think either one of them is gonna get finished easily. I don't think either one has been finished. Leslie has lost before. She's like 4-1, so she doesn't have much experience. But I do think her age, I think she's like 24 versus Julieta, who's like 20. I think it'll kind of even out in terms of like where they're at pretty much. Julieta is really young at 20, but I do think she's skilled enough to beat Leslie, who's, like I said, just primarily a striker. From what I did hear from Artem MMA was saying that Julieta's like manager deleted a bunch of her fights from YouTube so Leslie couldn't see. So I could only imagine how much they're putting into Julieta winning. I'm pretty sure Julieta's working hard, but I think she's getting interviewed by UFC Espanol. I think I don't think Leslie's been getting interviewed by the UFC channels, at least that I know of. I think she's getting interviewed by like random UFC media people, but I think Julieta is more of a prospect in terms of what people are expecting. So I'm gonna be picking Julieta by decision. Like I said, I don't think they're gonna get finished easily, and I think Julieta should be able to manage out a decision, maybe a split. I kind of see it being a war and Julieta winning it barely, maybe by a little bit. If not, I do see also Leslie winning it by decision, if not a TKO too. Julieta too, I think she can win in any sense. Most likely a decision, submission, and then TKO for Julieta, I would say. And then for Hernandez, I do think it'd be TKO, decision, and then submission last. But yeah, guys, that's the second fight of the night. Really excited for that one. Leslie Hernandez, her nickname is Dora the Destroyer, so that's kind of funny. And I don't really when I was looking at their Instagram, I didn't really see much notable stuff in terms of them training with anybody. But like I said, I did see that Julieta was getting interviewed by like the UFC Espanol YouTube, so that's something. But let's go to the next fight. The next fight, we have Yadier Delvalle versus Antonio Monteiro. This one, guys, I was really torn. I think on Tapology a bunch of people are picking Delvalle, and I think it's because a lot of people have been like following him in terms of like the I don't want to say amateur scene or the prospect scene. I think people have been like following Delvalle. I think he is undefeated. Let me double check. Delvalle is 7-0. He's from Cuba. They call him the Cuban Problem, not the Cuban Missile Crisis. And versus Antonio Monteiro, who's 17-4. Obviously, Monteiro has way more experience, and the guys that he's fought, if you go through his Tapology record, they also have like a bunch of experience. So he's fighting a lot of guys that like have been in fights. So his fight IQ should be really good, and he should be, I would say, maybe in better nerves than Yadier. I do think he definitely has a more experience, obviously. They're not that much different in age, Yadier being 28 and Antonio being 29. I think even the odds right now, guys, I think it's super close too. Yeah, Yadier is a -120 and Antonio is a -110. Like I said, guys, I feel like this one was really hard to call. I was first picking Yadier because, everyone on Typology was picking Yadier, and I was like, oh yeah, I could see it, undefeated. He has grappling capability. He has good cardio. He has decent striking. And one of the fights versus Miguel Lugo and Yadier. And pretty much Yadier was controlling it the whole time, and I think he ended up finishing Lugo. So he seems to be pretty well, and he does seem to be able to go like late into the rounds. Versus Antonio, I think Antonio is the champ from Centurion FC. He won the belt there. So I wonder how good of a organization Centurion is. I'm not too sure, but he's number 14 in featherweight in Brazil, so he should be pretty decent. Like I said, yeah, I feel like this one's really close, guys. I guess it's for sure an unconfident pick. I kind of was siding with Antonio for sure, but I just think Yadier being undefeated, I feel like he's well-rounded, and I think Antonio is more likely a striker. He has more KOs. I just imagine whether or not Antonio prefers to keep it on the feet or on the ground. Yeah, I'm not too sure exactly what the plan is for Antonio. I would assume, since Antonio's never been knocked out, I would assume he'd probably wanted to keep it on the ground. I mean on the feet, versus Yadier, who also has like a bunch of I guess submission wins as well. So like I said, these guys are really well rounded. and it's just really hard to pick, guys. But if I'm forced to pick, I already have Delvalle by decision. I think it's gonna be a war. I'm not too sure. I feel like this one can go on in any way. Either guy can get a TKO, either guy can get a submission. But I'm gonna go Delvalle decision on this one. I'm gonna be betting Antonio by method, I think, because I do think he can get a finish. Maybe a TKO or a KO, I think, or maybe a decision. I don't know. I feel like both of them are dogs and can last it out and be durable. Not too sure. Definitely going to be betting Antonio, but picking Delvalle. So I feel like I'll win either way. I feel like it's really 50-50, guys. So if I get Yadier right on the pick, then great. He is undefeated, like I said. So that's kind of mostly what I'm going off of. And his submission capability. I do think Yadier is a black belt, but Antonio also is a black belt. And if I'm correct, Antonio's actually been training with Jose Aldo. So that's something to mention. But still, I do think Yadier is a little bit better on the ground, I believe. And yeah, I feel like people picking him as a prospect is probably a sign too. Antonio has lost before, Yadier hasn't, so that's something that's probably like a big reason as to why I'm picking Yadier. But yeah, guys, super unsure, but I'm going Delvalle by decision on that one. So next fight, guys, this one I'm really excited about. This is Nick Piccininni versus Luis Gurule. This one, guys, I feel like it's really hard to call too, but I just have a feeling that Luis Gurule is gonna win. I have him by TKO in round 2. I feel like obviously Nick Piccininni's plan is just to grapple pretty much, and we all know he has a bunch of submission wins. He's 7-0 American, 3 subs in the first round, and he's already won in the Contender Series before versus Jack Duffy. They were supposed to rematch, but Jack Duffy pulled out. So I feel like Piccininni's plan this whole time was to fight a grappler who's decent on striking too, because if you guys watched the last fight between Duffy and Piccininni was not good on his hands. At least he wasn't trusting his striking. He was very like I guess really unsure of himself in terms of like what he was throwing, and Duffy was outlanding him. Like Duffy was landing the better strikes, and you could just tell Piccininni wasn't there in terms of striking, and he was able to stay in the fight by grappling. But this one, guys, I really feel like Luis Gurule is going to be able to outdo him in every sense. Like, for sure, the cardio, I feel like when it gets to the later rounds, I feel like Gurule is going to be able to dog it out a lot better than Piccininni. His nickname is Grim. He's 9-0, 30 years old, so he's in his prime. He's from Colorado. Luis Gurule has trained with Sanhagen, Royval, Alex Hernandez. So he's already training with MMA people like consistently. He's already training with UFC people, UFC level fighters consistently. So this is just his next step into the UFC, I believe. Luis Gurule has actually gotten UFC offers before. I've been hearing in his interviews that he has had offers before to fight in the UFC. I guess like on short notice kind of thing, but they never fell through. So I do think the UFC does like Gurule, and they do think he could win for sure. And if you look at his record, he has a bunch of finishes in rounds 1 or 2, one in round 3, and even in round 4. His last win, which was it wasn't a title fight, but it was a 5-round fight, and I guess Tapology I guess marks it as a title fight, even though it was only five rounds for not a belt. Gurule has been fighting in Fury FC, so he won that big fight in round 4, and it was this year in September. So he's actually, like I said, he took the short notice fight over Duffy. I do think for sure Piccininni has the advantage in terms of maybe like the planning for the fight, but I just think Gurule is already ready. I mean, he just fought this past month on the 22nd. I'm pretty sure him taking the fight is a good sign, because I don't think he would take the fight if he was like seriously injured or anything like that. So I'm picking Gurule, guys, by round 2 TKO. I think he can outdog Piccininni and just catch him well. I feel like he has a takedown defense to stay up. He's never been subbed. His opponents don't keep him on the ground often. And I think Gurule should be able to be well-rounded enough to beat Nick Piccininni, who has pretty much no KOs. From what I've seen in the last fight, from what we all saw in the last fight between Jack Duffy and him, he doesn't do well in terms of striking. And I don't think he's going to do well against Luis Gurule, who just walks forward and forces the fight. So I think Gurule is going to be able to win this one. And I think he's either going to win it like late into the fight, maybe a decision too, but I think Gurule should be able to win it. I think I should go round 3 TKO, but I think Gurule is going to impress, and I'm going to go round 2 TKO for Luis Gurule. I was actually kind of surprised that Nick Piccininni wasn't a big favorite, so it kind of shows that a lot of people are also agreeing that Luis Gurule has a great chance and it's literally the flip of a coin. But yeah, I'm picking Gurule on this one. I feel like it's my only like confident pick. I think like the only one that makes sense to me in my head, like in terms of him like finding a way to win, is just staying up and outstriking Piccininni. I feel like he knows that, and I think it's gonna work. So I have yeah, round 2 Luis. But let's go to the next fight. The last fight, guys, we have Nick Klein versus Heraldo Souza. This one, guys, it was another tough one. I was kind of looking into both of their fights. Nick Klein doesn't have that many fights. I think he only has like 5 or 6 in total. Yeah, he's 5'1". He's American. Light heavyweight fight versus Heraldo Souza, who's apparently a middleweight. I'm not sure which one is moving weight classes or not. But Klein is 29 years old. So is Souza. Klein is 6'1", so I could imagine he might have a shorter or a longer arm length. This one, guys, like I said, I wasn't too sure. Nick Klein is 5'1". They call him the blue collar. He trains at Pura Vida BJJ MMA. I actually saw his Instagram. He doesn't post much on Instagram. He doesn't have that many followers either, so he's not really well known, I would say, in terms of like, I guess, social media. And he has lost 2 times before. Once he lost to Dorjan Dojak. I think I actually saw this fight, I believe. I don't remember too clearly. But yeah, he's already lost twice, once in his amateur, once in his pro. But he's fighting Heraldo Souza, who is Brazilian. They call him the Savage. He's 9-1-1. He's from Evolu something Thai MMA, and he has been KO'd before in the first round, but he has a bunch of submission wins. And he recently beat Andre Fletcher in round 1 at SFT, which I think Alexia, I forgot her last name, another fighter that fought in Dana White's Contender Series. So this is another fighter from SFT, and he should be the champ from there. Like I said, guys, this is another hard one to call. I think the odds also have actually right now they have Souza at a -188. And like, yeah, I was kind of looking at the record, and I could imagine as to why, because Souza has like obviously way more wins and a lot more finishes. He beat Andre Fisher, who's 10-5. Looking back at their the people that they've beaten, I think Souza has like fought the guys with more experience. So, you know, a bunch of Brazilian guys. I feel like these Brazilian guys just fight a lot, and they have a lot of I guess a lot of losses and wins too sometimes. Yeah, Souza's a 90% and Klein is a 10%. So I feel like this is one of those other ones where it's like on paper Souza should be able to win. I think looking at their fights, I remember Klein having cardio and Souza also having cardio, and they're both being pretty much well-rounded. So I think this is one of those ones where like on paper I'm going to pick Souza, but I'm going to be betting Klein by round 1 KO, round 2 KO maybe, or round 1 submission. I feel like the odds on that one should be okay in terms of bets. So yeah, guys, that's another one where I'm just really unsure about it, honestly. I didn't really want to think about that one too much. I feel like the odds kind of reflect for sure Souza winning, so I think that's like another reason as to why I'm picking Souza. You know, Tapology is mostly picking him, and so are the betting lines. And I kind of see it too in terms of the records of like who they fought pretty much. I mean, Souza's fought more people, better experienced people. Klein has fought some decent wins and a lot of amateur fights who he's ended early. So yeah, guys, I'm gonna go Souza by round 2 TKO on that one. Unsure about that one, honestly, guys. So yeah, that was the last fight in week 10. Unfortunately, guys, this is the last week of Dana White's Contender Series. I'm actually a little sad. At first, I was like a little like I guess stressed about getting all the picks out, because I don't know, I think I was taking a little bit too seriously in terms of how much time I was putting into the picks and how much effort too. Because before, I think I was getting pretty decent picks even though I wasn't trying as hard. So anyways, I feel like it's better just to go through them, I guess, at the rate I used to, which was pretty quick. You know, just decide pretty quickly and see who I like. And I think that's what I kind of did with this one. You know, I didn't really think about it too hard. I kind of went with what people were looking at and what people were also leaning towards. And like I said, I think Luis Gurule was the only one I thought. I thought he was going to be an underdog, but he seems to be coming into a favorite now. If you look at the odds, I think he's changing. I think on Bovada he was a -120. BestFightOdds.com have him at a -110. Nick Piccininni is a -120. But still, pick him. I really do think that's kind of saying something for him coming short notice. So if I were to go from least confident to most confident, I would say for sure least confident pick is this one, Delvalle. I feel like I'm just really unsure about that fight. Next one is this one, the Souza pick. Just really unsure about that one too, but I mean the odds are kind of saying he'd win. Third one is the women fight. I do think Julieta could win, but I don't know. I really like Leslie. I feel like she could be a good boxer and maybe even KO Julieta. Then the next one would be Otto versus Jonathan. I do think Otto can win. I feel like it's kind of like the same formula as to what's going to happen with Piccininni and Gurule. Otto is going to be a good striker. Jonathan's going to try to take him down, and I think Otto is going to be able to keep it on the ground and finish him. And I think it's kind of the same thought process as Gurule versus Piccininni. I feel like as long as Otto stays up on the feet and outstrikes Jonathan, he's probably going to win, maybe get a finish. So I do like that pick as being the most second confident, but my most confident pick is the Gurule pick. I could be a little biased on this one though, guys, because I do like Gurule. He seems to be a pretty good fighter, but still, I do think he should be able to beat Nick Piccininni, who went split with Duffy, another grappler. So yeah, guys, those are my picks for this week for Dana White's Contender Series Week 10. Not the most confident picks, and I feel like the odds for sure reflecting that. I mean, it's a good I guess it's a good setback or a good balance to the last couple weeks where it's been pretty easy to get 5 out of 5 picks right. I got 5 out of 5 picks right 2 weeks ago. Last week I got 5 out of 5 picks right. So I'm hoping to get 5 out of 5 picks right on this one, guys. I'd be really happy with that. I am ranked silver for Dana White's Contender Series picks. Unfortunately, I am now ranked bronze for UFC picks. I'm actually really upset about that. I have been bronze before, but it's been a while, honestly. So yeah, guys, that's, like I said, more of a reason for me to just kind of take a step back and just do the picks, have fun again, and not take it so seriously and not get disappointed when I'm not diamond anymore. Oh, I guess I can go real quickly as to what I would bet on for each fight. I'm gonna be picking Otto, obviously, but I'll pick Otto probably some sort of finish in a round. I'll put 50 cents on that. But Jonathan, I do think he could get a submission. I'll probably put a 50 cents on that. Jonathan by submission. Not betting advice or financial advice. Leslie Hernandez, I feel like this one's really hard to call, honestly. I feel like this can go to decision for sure, but I do think Leslie round 1 KO is plausible. And Julieta, I think she can also get a submission, maybe round 2 or 3, maybe. If I were to bet Yadier or Antonio, I'd put Yadier's submission as a bet. Antonio, I would do TKO as a bet for Antonio. So the next one, Nick Piccininni, I would bet him by submission if I could. And Luis, I feel like he can win by decision or TKO. Most likely TKO for Luis. And last fight, I would pick Nick Klein by submission or TKO. If not TKO or submission round 1 or 2. For sure TKO round 1, I'm probably going to pick or bet Nick Klein. And then Heraldo, I feel like he can do anything, honestly. I feel like he can get a submission, KO, decision. But I'll probably pick him like in a round 1 or 2 finish, sub or KO or something like that. But yeah, guys, those are my bets. I did my picks. Let me know what you guys are picking this week for Dana White's Contender Series Week 10. I'm really excited for these fights for sure because it's the last week. We're going to have to wait until next year, the next season, to see the next Dana White's Contender Series. So yeah, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments, what you guys pick, what you guys bet. But yeah, guys, I'll see you guys in another video.